know most of you only watch the channel for either scenario craft or TV craft. This isn't normally a video I would make for this channel, but I wanted to try something a little different and tell a story about something funny, something interesting that happened to me lately. So I would like to tell a story about my first time serving on a jury. So I've actually been called to jury duty every year since I turned 18. And back in February, this was the first time that I actually had to go into the court. They finally got me. And I'm not exactly happy about this, but I didn't have a way out of it. On the summons that they sent, they were very clear about everything, like where to go, when to be there, what to bring, what not to bring, and the dress code. And I mean, the dress code was about what you would expect for a court. It said like business casual. So I dressed up as the dress code wanted me to. And I get there and I realize very quickly I am overdressed. I am very overdressed. I'm in a red blazer, a dress shirt, my skirt. I'm actually in pieces of clothes I bought for a Tana cosplay. And I mean, that was pretty entertaining for myself to go to the court basically dressed up as Tana. But yeah, I get all the way there and I am severely overdressed. I live in like a poor area, like a redneck district. My district doesn't allow people to get out of jury duty for financial hardship, so if you do have a case to plead, you have to go all the way to the court and hope that the judge and the lawyers don't pick you because of your hardship. And things are not looking good in terms of being home by lunch. There's about 100 of us there that morning, and they put us into 3 groups based on when we arrived. And they held us in this big room with our groups. They called us to be there at 8 o'clock, and around 9:30, they finally called my group and they took it outside of a courtroom to wait, and the bailiff said it would be about a 10-minute wait. 20 minutes later, they lead us into the room. The first thing I notice when I come into the room is like the lawyers, and oh no, they came off like so slimy. I was reading everybody in the room, and the lawyers, they were so slimy. I did not want to be near them, but I had no choice. One of the first things they asked us was if like there was some reason we couldn't be there. They gave everybody the opportunity to plead their case, and there were all kinds of things, like people were saying that they were losing money by being there, which, yeah. Someone was saying that they were a felon. Some people were claiming that they were the only providers of their families, and they were claiming that the lawyers and the judges had no idea what that was like. And there were people in there who said no English, even though out in the lobby they were speaking perfect English. Oh, and there was this one guy, he was making racist comments. One by one they started asking us questions, and this whole process took like 2 hours. And I feel like in hindsight, I think with some of my answers, I probably shot myself in the foot because I took some of the questions very literally, and they were asking us some really absurd hypothetical questions, and I took it very literally. So they probably liked that. I have no idea. The only part of that whole process, other than the fact that it took so long, the only really main thing that annoyed me personally was when people were not actually answering the question and the lawyer had to keep like re-asking the question. And some people were just yapping, like they were just talking about whatever. That was annoying because they made the process take so much longer. Then they started asking some of us specific questions about our previous answers. And they called me. And they pulled up a questionnaire they had me do, and it's like, it says here you worked for a tech company. What does that mean? What did you do? Do you have any education in that field? I answered the questions. I'm not really sure what they were expecting, but yeah. As they asked me that specific question, I definitely felt like in the back of my head, like I was not gonna be home by lunch. They were gonna pick me. After that, they gave us like a 90-minute break, and they called us back, and they said if they called our names to stay seated. And my name was the second name. Everybody else got excused. Yeah, there were 7 of us left, all different personalities. We all had to stay through opening statements, and then we got sent home, so it was about another 2 hours. The case was going to last the entire week. So the next morning, I'm off on my way there. The courthouse is an hour away, which is another big reason why I didn't want to be there. And when I'm on the way there, it's sunrise is happening, and I'm driving through the swamp, and the sun is so low that every time I'm driving past the trees, it's like a strobe light effect. And I was on too narrow of a road, going too quickly to take the time to move the blinder on my car so I could block that strobe light. So I had to deal with it until traffic slowed down and I could safely move my blinder. But sadly, by that time, I had an early migraine. And when I parked my car at the courthouse and I took out my purse to get my medicines, I was out of what I needed. I took some stuff, but I knew it wasn't going to actually take the pain away, but at the very least it might prevent it from getting worse. During this specific day at the court, there were a lot of 15-minute breaks, so that helped with the pain not getting too bad. Like, I could stay in the courtroom for about an hour and then go back, and that helped out. But I definitely was not as friendly to the other jurors as I ought to have been. I wouldn't say that I was rude. I was very to the point. And yeah, I really didn't chat with them, despite the frequent breaks that they made us take. But things did get worse because on this day, they sent us back, and then the bailiff came in and started calling us all back one by one to ask us questions. And this, scared me, and it made the pain so much worse. They called us into the courtroom, and they asked me about some allegations brought up against another juror. And in the end, the juror, got booted from the jury duty. So it was just down to 6 of us, and it took an hour to deal with all that. And the rest of that specific day was pretty uneventful. The next day, though, I was feeling a lot better the next day. And at that point, everybody had accepted their fate, so nobody was in a particularly bad mood. So we got up to some shenanigans back in the jury room. One of the things we did in the jury room was they gave us snacks every day. And we decided to hide all of the snacks in the jury room so that the next day there'd be double the snacks. If we didn't hide them, then they wouldn't refill it. But on this day, we were only in the courtroom for a total of 2 hours. So we spent 5 hours in the jury room that day. Every time they got called back for sidebars, they would take so long that the judge would stop and send us back and then have us come in for 5 to 15-minute breaks, which in court time translates to 10 to 30-minute breaks. Then they would call us back in, and then somebody would object, and there would be a sidebar, and someone would object again, and there was a sidebar. It happened a lot. There was one specific incident with the lawyers that happened that day that I thought was pretty funny. So they were projecting some evidence to us on this big TV, and the lawyer who was showing us all the evidence, he was showing us the evidence, and then he would switch tabs, but he would forget which tab he actually needed to click on because nothing was labeled, as far as I can remember. So he accidentally published confidential information to us, and the judge started yelling at him to stop publishing, turn off the screen, black out the screen, turn the screen around to do something. And he would respond oh, okay, sorry. And then he'd slightly move the screen, but we can still see it, and then he would go back to searching, and the judge would yell at him again to turn off the screen or turn it around, and he kept saying, oh, I'm so sorry, Judge, I'll turn it around for you. And then he would turn it very slightly, and then she yelled at him again. And the other lawyer from the other side, he came over and he completely turned the screen around with this slimy smile on his face. And then he did what he needed to do and they carried on. We also went to lunch that day together. Now, I had brought food because I don't like to buy food if I can absolutely avoid it. I think it's too frivolous to spend money like that. And I'm paid $15 a day to be there. They don't give us enough money to buy food that barely covered gas. And I was on the fence on going, but they invited me. So I told them that, hey, I brought lunch, I'll eat that with you. And they offered to buy me lunch. But this kind of thing makes me really nervous, so I feigned my allergy even though it's very rarely an issue eating out in the United States, but I feigned my allergy and they dropped it. And when we were at the restaurant, we were all there, all 6 of us were there in the middle of the restaurant on this big table, and one of the lawyers, he came up to the door and he saw us and he turned around and he left, and we thought that was pretty funny because they were not allowed to be near us or talk to us outside of the courtroom. On the day of the deliberation, we were told to be at the courtroom at 8:30, and when the bailiff came and got us, she said, "It'll be 15 minutes, and that meant 30 minutes to 45 minutes court time." So about 45 minutes in, nobody came in and updated us, nobody came in and said anything, so we decided to play hangman using paint on the TV in the room. And we were trying to discuss ways to baffle the bailiff. We never did anything, but one of the things we suggested doing was putting all of the chairs onto the table. One of them joked about flipping the table and just laying it on its side, and someone suggested changing the picture in the picture frame, harmless things like that may have gotten us in trouble, but we'll never know. About an hour into this, the bailiff came in and said it would be 30 more minutes, that they were still preparing for the day. And, 30 minutes means an hour. So finally, around 10:30, they called us in for the closing statements. And we get halfway through the closing statements, and we got sent back. And then we came back in. And then we got sent back. And then we came back in, and then we finally finished because somebody had an objection to one of the things the lawyer said during the closing statement. And right before we were sent in with the verdict form, one of the slimy lawyer, we called him the lizard lawyer, because his expression was he didn't really know how to make human expression, so he was trying to do his best impression, but it just wasn't quite coming off right. So we called him lizard lawyer. He was a very slimy guy. And he was talking down to us he had the verdict form projected on the TV, and he was really demeaning. He gave us a step-by-step instruction on how to draw the X over the answer he wanted us to draw the X on. Step by step. And he said, what you're gonna do is write an X right here, sign here, and that will be it. Got it? Those weren't his exact words, but that was more or less that is really close to what he told us. We go back in, and some coffee one of the jurors left out purely because they wanted the room to smell like the coffee was cold. They were gonna dump it. But I don't like wasting food, so I said I would take it. And so I chugged it. And yeah, I don't usually consume caffeine, and I was tweaking a little bit, but I was focused at the very least. That was the main thing, other than to not waste the coffee, is I wanted that help to focus. And to be more friendly. If I'm going a little nuts, I'm a lot more friendly. Maybe more annoying, but a lot more friendly. So after all is said and done with the deliberation, it takes about 2 hours. The other jurors, they knocked on the door, and the bailiff took the form, and we're told to wait for a few minutes. And the other jurors were joking oh, we should have a reunion. Who's hosting Easter? And I know they're all joking, but sometimes my hopes did get up a little bit oh, that'd be kind of funny to do a reunion or to go to someone's for Easter, because it's not like we live particularly far from each other. We do all live in the same district. All in all, I'm kind of glad this happened. As much as I dreaded going, as much as I dreaded the 1 hour drive there and the 1 hour drive back, it was interesting. I'll never see the others again, but I'm still glad I got the chance to meet them. And in a weird way, by making the most of it, I did actually have some fun. I definitely took it seriously. By all means, I took it very seriously. But when it was appropriate, I did have fun with the whole experience of being on the jury. So at the end of the day, the plaintiff wanted us to take it seriously. This isn't a small thing. This was a very long, drawn-out battle for the plaintiff. The plaintiff deserved us to take it seriously, even if we didn't want to be there, even if we were paid a very small amount of money to be there. Money that barely covered gas to get to and from the courthouse. And if I was the plaintiff, I would probably want someone like me on the jury too. But we'll see how this goes. Maybe I'm not the best storyteller yet. I'm just kind of looking at notes and trying to make the most of it. If something like this was enjoyable for you to listen to, definitely let me know. I mean, I can make more. I've got like all kinds of stories, and I think with enough practice I could probably execute them in a more, I don't know, enthusiastic manner. I'll post some more updates on the mods soon. I've been working on quite a bit on both of them behind the scenes. And once I reach that goal, I will add in what I promised to add in to both the scenario craft and the PvP craft.
Bye!